Hello, welcome to the Tutors of Life podcast, where we research life so you don't have to. This is your host, Shaun Tutor.
And this is Sam.
So,
It's a day.
today?
It's a day.
It's Sunday.
It is Sunday.
Wonderful Sunday.
Yep.
What do you got today?
Like for a topic or what?
Sure.
Or just in general?
In general.
Cleaned half the house. Maybe a third of the house.
Nice.
Whatever. Did some meal prepping.
Yeah.
And try to think of a topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what we did.
Sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
Dope. I did some meal prepping and then looked at some houses, some properties, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It's a good day.
Yeah, it's a good day.
Yeah. All right, so what are we talking about today?
I think we're just going to kind of go over some current events.
Current events. Love it.
Yeah?
Love it, love it.
Do you want to start? Or do you want me to?
You can start.
I mean, I guess really the only one I just saw was what I was just reading.
Oh, okay. So I'll start. All right. So CPI report came out. CPI, Consumer Pricing Index, came out on essentially what shit costs. How much stuff's gone up in prices, right?
Okay. So like inflation and whatnot?
Not quite inflation, but kind of inflation.
Okay.
So there's like a few categories, main categories. So we have all items, which is 6% CPI right now. And then we have food, which is 9.5% inflation. Food away from home, which is like 8.4%. So what it is so the Consumer Price Index has gone up 6.2% over the last 12 months. We are up 0.4% from last month. And so our food is up 9.5%, which is lame. Our energy is up 5.2%, okay?
Only?
Yeah.
Damn.
And then all categories are up. All categories minus food and energy are up 5.5% over the last 12-month period, with the average being like 6%, 6.2%.
Okay.
So that's just saying that shit's gone up.
Yeah.
So CPI for all items rise 0.4% in February as shelter increases. So shelter has gone up, which is kind of crazy. Shelter's gone up.
Yeah. Especially with interest rates being high.
Right.
Higher. I guess
Higher,
they're
yeah. But maybe that's because I'm not sure if that's both rent and renting and purchasing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It could be that.
Yeah.
So the CPI is up. Next week, inflation comes out. So we'll see if inflation is up or down.
Mm-hmm.
It would be really good for it to start coming down. But the jobless claim report needs to go up. And it's been holding pretty steady. It hasn't been going up by the amounts we need to see it go up by for inflation to start ticking down. But hopefully it does. So we'll see about that.
Yeah, that's cool.
So CPI is up, but barely. So that's okay.
Yeah.
It's good.
That's cool.
Yeah. So along the lines of that, we had in the world, we had some bankings.
Yeah, banks collapsed.
Banks collapsed, yeah.
We had, there was two? One in California, one in New York?
3, actually.
Oh, what was the third one?
So it was Silvergate, Signature Bank, and
Silicon Valley?
Silicon Valley Bank. Yep, so 3 of them. So how this happened, right? So it started with Silicon Valley Bank.
Mm-hmm.
So how that happened was Silicon Valley Bank is majority tech companies.
Wasn't it like tech startups?
Yeah, majority tech startups. And only 15% of their money in their bank was insured. 85% of their money in that bank or deposits is uninsured, which means 85% of their money, their deposits, is over $250,000.
Yes. So your money's insured if it's under $250,000.
Yep.
So like, is that per account?
I don't know that answer.
Okay. I was just thinking, I was like, we have a joint account, so would ours just be 250 or would we get 500? We don't know. That's why we decided to just
No,
do.
it's definitely per account. I
Okay.
just don't know if like I can have 10 accounts.
Oh, got it.
If it's like per customer or per account.
Oh, somewhere I did read like per depositor.
Okay.
But that's why. So this is why we did current events. Sean and I tried to learn about this, and it's very complicated.
It's actually not like the easiest thing I've read about, especially midday learning. I learn best in the morning. So like moving forward, this kind of shit, I'm actually going to have to like get up and research at 5 a.m. So I can like actually retain some of it. So that's something I'll take forward, and I'll start doing more of this researching current events and shit right away in the morning.
But also, this would probably be the most boring podcast if that's all we talked about to some listeners.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No. I just like on current, like when we decided to do this, or to like for topics in general, like researching
Yeah.
occurs best in the morning. Like, at least for me, my best time to think is in the morning.
Yeah.
So how this happened, right, was Silicon Valley Bank, so they had a bunch of bonds. They were bond heavy. And so how it works is like a 10-year bond, as your interest rate increases, your bonds decrease. And so for like a 10-year bond, it's not 1 for 1, it's like 1 for 10. So as interest rates go up 1%, 10-year bond goes down 10%, okay? And so obviously interest rates have gone up over 1%, so bonds have gone down a significant amount. So these tech startups were not doing good. They were having some losses, so they go to the bank to pull money because they need more money. Well, they go to the bank to pull money. The bank didn't have all the money, so they had to sell some of their bonds. And so Silicon Valley Bank, they needed to pay customers. So they sold $21 billion in bonds. They sold those bonds for a loss of $1.8 billion. This is that is all public knowledge. So customers then get scared seeing that, holy shit, the bank just sold $21 billion in bonds at a $1.8 billion loss. That's really bad for the bank's profit and loss. So customers made a run on the bank. They all went to deposit to withdraw their money. Within 3 days, I think it was, the bank was done because everybody pulled all their money out and the bank was screwed.
You're right.
Because what they did was, as more people came, they had to sell more bonds. As they kept selling more bonds, more negative,
Yeah.
until boom. So what ended up happening here, though, is they had some really big companies, some really big tech companies with billions of dollars in their accounts, millions and billions of dollars in like different big tech businesses' accounts. And it's the typical, like, they are donors to the bank, to the big corporations. So these places can't let them fail, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So somehow this is where it was getting like muddy for me, is somehow the Fed was like, yeah, we're going to just cover that. And it's like, how do you cover that when the sale of the bonds is for billions of dollars lost? And they're like, no, don't worry, taxpayers. It won't come from you. Like, the Fed's just going to eat it. Well, yeah, but the Fed is funded by taxpayers. So how does the Fed eat it when it's our money? Does that make sense? So somehow these big tech companies, a lot of them got their billions back from the Fed because the Fed still needs them to donate to them and scratch their back and shit like that. The Fed says, don't worry, normal everyday person who pays their taxes, we won't take this money from you. But where are you getting it from, since we are the ones that fund you?
Right.
So that was like interesting. That part confused me how they can say that and how that could make any sense, and how these, like, the FDIC covers $250,000 for a reason, right? So if you have more than that in your account, which I think is a flaw, it's been at $250,000 for so many years. Like, that type of money is not the same as it was when they made the FDIC.
Right.
And so that number should be going up, but it's not. Whatever. And so somehow our taxes have to go up to help cover these bank failures, to help cover the loss on the bond, the selling of the bonds and shit like that, is what I took away from this. So, and also it would have bankrupted a lot of huge tech companies, and obviously we can't be having that in this world, right?
I mean, we could bankrupt like ChatGPT or any AI places. I'd be okay with that. We
could definitely bankrupt a lot of them, but the federal government's not going to do that. And the reason they're not going to do that is because they donate to their campaigns, the main campaigns being the Democratic Party. And so the Democratic Party gets a lot of their money from the tech companies, so they will not let them fail because that's how they get a lot of their money.
That's dumb. Cool. Got more with that?
I do.
Okay, cool.
So, what this continues to mean. We had the bank runs on those three main banks, right? Now, big banks are taking a stand, okay? There's a bank in question right now. First Republic Bank is the next bank that the customers are essentially trying to make a run on, okay? 11 banks, five of the 11 big banks are JP Morgan Chase banks. They deposited $30 billion into First Republic Bank. And they did this acting as a customer of First Republic Bank by depositing the $30 billion. And so by doing this, they're trying to stop the bleeding and show the U.S., the customers, that U.S. banks, so United States, their banks, are safe places to have money. And so First Republic Bank is going to be the bank to look at to see if they burn through that $30 billion in customer draws.
Right.
If that happens, it could be a downward spiral to a bunch of other banks. The same thing happening because First Republic Bank is such a huge bank, and it just got this huge deposit that if that all gets ran through and that bank tanks, that's just going to be a snowball into all the other banks.
Right.
One after another. Boom, 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 all the way down dead. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's really hope that doesn't happen. But right now, as things stand, First Republic Bank is showing the bleeding has stopped and that they are stabilizing out because of that deposit.
That's good.
So hopefully we don't see this massive crash one after another.
Right.
We would if these other banks didn't step in. So banks are being buddy-buddy, which is pretty good. And the reason that is I guess JP Morgan Chase gets a lot of their loans or something. It's something like that from First Republic. So like they already work together a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's something where like JP Morgan Chase is like, well, this could really affect us if they go under, sort of deal.
Yeah.
So that is how that happens. But guys, this is actually stupid for all this to be in the news.
Yeah.
Why is it stupid for it to be in the news?
Because it's just going to scare people. More people are going to want to withdraw their money.
Yep.
Because the more people that withdraw their money, the more banks are going to have to close. So that was like what happened in like the big... When was that? Like the 30s or something?
Late 20s.
Late 20s.
I believe, yeah.
Like a couple banks closed and people started panicking saying like, oh, these banks aren't reliable, we can't have our money in them. So everyone started withdrawing their money, which is what causes them to close.
Yep.
Honestly, probably most of the people listening to this podcast,
this won't affect.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it because as long as you're under $250,000, you'll get your money. And so because there was a study done, and I think the study is worse than this coming out. So some people did a study on like banks. It pretty much the same thing, like how much of their money is uninsured and how much is insured
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And there's a list of 186 banks that could be on the edge of collapse.
Yep.
One thing you don't see in the article titles is there's 4,700 banks in the U.S.
Wow.
So it's only 1% of banks that are on the edge of like possible collapse.
Sure.
So most likely the bank that you bank with
It's fine.
is fine. Yeah, I think that. And someone told us that because one of the banks we use like 6.
Yeah.
We use Ally Bank for a lot of our like holds. And someone told us that was one of the banks on this list of possible collapse. The actual study never released a list of the banks.
But it is one of the ones.
There was a different article that explained like why it could be.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I explained it to Shaun. Ally, they have on like their savings account, they have 3.6%.
Yep.
That they give to customers, and they're only making 2.5% on that money.
Yep.
So they're losing 1.6%.
Yeah, and that's not healthy for a bank.
No.
That seems like they're trying to bail water out of their sinking ship instead of patching the hole.
But so that's just on the savings account part. They also do auto loans.
Yeah.
Is what they're like big for, which I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
And so I'm curious, like, how much money they're making on their auto loans, because that could possibly cover the gap of the loss from the savings accounts.
Oh, it definitely could, because so like right now, the actual bank, I had this down. This was written. Banks operate on a 0% interest environment, and because of the interest rate is actually like to borrow from the Fed is like 4 point something right now. It's like 4.5 around that or something.
Yeah.
So since banks usually operate on a 0 interest rate environment, but now they're operating on a 4.5 interest rate environment, it really like it cuts into their profit margin significantly, because now they like to keep getting people to use them. They have to offer money back on savings accounts, CDs, things like that, just like you're saying. And so if they have to borrow from the Fed at 4.5, but they don't want to do that, and they want to borrow from us, they got to give us 3.6.
Yeah.
And so that means if they want to make their 3% interest, they have to borrow that money out at 6.6.
Yeah.
And so that's where we get like the interest rates we have. And then if they're not getting the deposits, because a lot of them aren't getting the deposits they need, a lot of these banks aren't getting the deposits they need, then they have to borrow from the Fed at the 4.5, and then they got to make their 3% spread on that. And so that's why interest rates for at least commercial and shit right now is 7.5.
Yeah.
Make that 3% spread. And so when we were in a zero-sum market and they were like, people were just giving money away because it meant nothing, like they could loan that money out at the 3%.
Yeah.
And they'd make their 3%. But now they're having to do these things like 3.6% interest to attract customers to deposit to try and make a little more money on that.
Yeah.
On that leverage, on that profit. And so where I was going with this is like house loans are 7.5. But we looked at car loans.
Yeah.
And so where we are in the best tier for credit, so we would be at 7.5.
Yeah.
For like the best tier, I think it was around like 7.5. But if you have a lower credit, you're at like 10% interest, 11% interest. And so right there is where I think they're making that money up.
I think so too.
Yeah.
But it did say that it's something they should be worried about, because with the higher interest rates, people are more likely to go delinquent on their loans right now. So they could have a lot more people.
Yeah.
But the thing is
That's
then
fair.
they can just repossess the car and sell it.
Yeah, but those go to auctions, and they typically don't get the amount back that they need. that's a dangerous game.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous game.
But I am guessing that is probably why they're making more of their money back a little bit. That we were told that was one of the banks, and I did look it up, and so that there was that article that explained like why they could be possible or like on the edge. It didn't tell me how much like. Ally's also like tricky because it takes 3 days to withdraw money, like or to transfer it into a regular bank account. We don't have a checking account, so we can't withdraw our money with a card at an ATM or anything.
And we did that on purpose.
Yes, we did. But we have under 250,000, so if they do collapse, we know we'll get our money back anyways.
Right. Yeah, which isn't the end of the world.
Right. But yeah, I looked for 20 minutes. There is no list of which banks
that
they
we
are.
can find, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure if you search your individual bank, you'll find an article.
Yeah, I'm sure there's YouTube videos on it and shit too.
Yeah.
There's people that have that information. Otherwise, because how they tell is like when over 50% of their deposits are uninsured.
Yeah.
And so whatever banks, there's 186 banks with over 50% uninsured. And so that's how you know. So if smart people out there can just easily find that information, and they would know what banks they were. So I'm sure a list exists. It's just we weren't able to find one right away.
Yeah. But also that means like people have to take the time to go through all 4,700 banks.
But someone's got software. Someone knows that.
I suppose.
I mean, because the people that made the article had to know there's 186. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So somehow that information's out there that they know that.
Yeah.
You probably figure it out by asking ChatGPT, to be honest with you.
And that's so true.
So pretty much why this keeps happening, just like you said, is this information's in the media. People are scared, so people are pulling their money out of their account. The more people that pull money out of their account, the more bonds and shit the banks have to sell, which then, if they're selling bonds right now, it's at a loss, so the bank is taking massive hits on their profit, which then in turn, the more people that pull, the more bonds they have to sell, and then it's like that cycle that then, boom, they're out of money.
Yeah.
So
It's like my microbiology professor always said, keeps the population uneducated and scared.
Right. Well, yeah, that happens. So yeah, like if people knew to not freak out in situations like this and to just be like, oh, if we don't touch this, if like everybody's just smart enough not to touch this, we won't be fucked. But people get emotional, people panic, people pull because they don't trust that the fellow other citizens won't pull, and so then they lead to their own demise.
Yep.
It's literally the population leading to their own demise due to, the people that they bank with are doing things poorly. They're not managing their risk properly.
Yeah. Shaun and I, there's one bank that we bank with, and they're like extreme to the max on risk management.
Yeah.
Like they, it was really hard for like Shaun to get a sponsorship from them.
Yeah.
Which is like a tiny amount. And so they're really, really good at risk management, which is amazing for a bank. Especially like since they're such like an investor friendly bank.
I don't think from last I heard they have not had a foreclosure in over 8 years.
Yeah. So they're really good at risk management. But there's like these other like big banks, like if you look it up, Silicon Valley spent billions of dollars in donations to like the Democratic Party, BLM.
Yeah.
A lot of
guys, on that, if you want an idea, there is a list of all the businesses that donated to BLM, because BLM received 82 some or 84 something like that $1 billion last year. They only accounted it on the books for 770 million, but they received in donations around 84 billion. But if you look, your banks might be on there, and like other places you
shop
frequent are on there, like, and think of it as your money being donated to BLM, which was turned out to be a fraudulent organization. Thank you. And so U.S. Bank donated a couple $100 million. Walmart did a couple $100 million. Bank of America did around $1 billion.
Silicon Valley Bank was like
massive.
It was like 10 billion, wasn't it?
No, I don't think they were that high.
Oh, okay.
I don't think anyone did like much over $1 billion on a single donation.
Still, though, that's ridiculous. So that's your money. Like, that's customers' money.
Yeah, and the thing is that money's not accounted for either. So I guess that's news. That's in like current event.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the BLM list, and so there's essentially $82 billion unaccounted for. That is just poof. It's gone magic.
Yeah, I mean, look at the cities that they said they were going to support and help restructure.
Yeah, and so it just goes to, I mean, that portion is like, okay, if $82 billion is squandered, especially from banks and stuff, and now you have those same banks closing, they're really squandering your finances. And I'm not saying to make a run on the bank, even though like everyone on this who listens to this could make a run on the bank and it wouldn't even touch any of the banks we do, because most likely everyone on here does not have a lot of money in comparison, right? Because technically a lot of money is like million plus. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at that, well, even 1 million is nothing in comparison to $1 billion. It actually means nothing.
Right.
And so none of these things even affect these banks and all this shit. But what's that place called? The Town Square or something? There's an app, guys, that's like
Isn't it like a Republican Amazon?
It's not even necessarily like a Republican thing. It's like it's like not corporate. It's for the people. It's like for the people. It's called,
I think it's Town Square, yeah.
The Public Square.
The Public Square.
Yeah, the Public Square. And it's American Policy Roundtable. Let's see. Public Square Marketplace. Join, promote your business. Rapidly growing member base. America's marketplace for largest community of freedom-loving, patriotic consumers and business the nation has ever seen. Okay. So, yeah, like if you love the country, you're pro-freedom, and you're for the people, it's the biggest place. But on there, like if you're looking at the BLM list of the people that donated that and squandered your money, it's a good place to go to see where to replace that money, because I think Amazon donated a couple $100 million also. And so it's like, if you don't feel good supporting these companies that are like clearly like not even squandering the money, they're like corrupt, they're stealing the money, because obviously they're like putting it into account that's not accounted for to obviously get kickbacks.
They're mismanaging funds.
Right. And so the Public Square isn't a place you could go to find these places that might align more with your values. Mm-hmm. And so that's that, which check that out, because that's a pretty cool list. Yeah. That's a neat list.
Yeah. I am very curious to see like which companies have done that. And I understand, like, it's just so weird. Think how good $84 billion could have done to any of these like black communities. Or like if they would have donated that money to like cancer research or like St. Jude's. Think how good $84 billion fucking dollars will do to any like decent organization. Right? Like you could change so much with $84 billion.
To finish the border wall, was $5 billion.
Oh, and we couldn't fund that.
We couldn't fund that. It was too much money just to fund that $5 billion. Since Biden has taken office, it's been accounted that 8 figures of illegal aliens have came in through the southern border.
Well, yeah, they want all the drugs and shit coming in. They want crime rates to go up.
Over 10 million. Over 10 million illegal immigrants have came in the last 2.5 years. Mm-hmm.
Dude, and the people that live in those cities, like around the borders, are like freaking out. Like
10 million people is a lot of fucking people.
Hell yeah, it is.
That's also current news.
Yeah.
Look at that, current events, babe. We're just current eventing it up.
Yeah, that's been ongoing though.
Yeah. But so that like we couldn't fund that $5 billion. The government said that was like astronomical. Everyone said that's astronomical. But 84 billion was funded to BLM, and I don't know the exact amount that's been sent to Ukraine now. But I can look that up if you want to go on to our last topic for a little bit here.
One of the things that just recently came up is Trump might. I don't know the phrasing. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know lawyer phrasing.
Indictment.
Well, yeah, I know. But I don't know how to say, like, Trump might get indicted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. For hush money with Stormy Daniels, apparently. They have a witness going in Monday, or another witness going in Monday.
They are still on Stormy Daniels bullshit.
Yeah, dude.
Didn't they find out that wasn't real?
Well, now apparently... So, indicted means, like, to start the trial process,
mm-hmm.
or, like, to start, like, there's a case, a valid case now, or whatever. So, Trump thinks he's going to get arrested Tuesday. Nobody really knows if that's true or not, because I think they have to see what this witness says on Monday about it.
Okay.
But my thing is like, why the fuck do we care about that when there is $83 billion missing from Black Lives Matter?
Because cover up.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it has much to do. I'm sure it has to do with the BLM stuff. I'm sure it also has a lot to do with covering up the bank shit going on, mm-hmm. and try to like get that out of the sight of the media, which I am almost pro that. Like, I'm almost pro getting that out of the media, mm-hmm. so people stop freaking out.
Trump's also very excited for this because he thinks this will like clinch the 2024 election for him.
Dude, yeah, actually, I've seen like a couple articles on that now that like some art people are saying, dude, this is very foolish, mm-hmm. because this could actually, my phone?
Yeah.
Okay, this could actually like secure his position in the 2024's election.
Oh, do you want this quick?
Yeah. So let me read off to you guys real quick. So to finish the border was around $5 billion, but that was too much money for us to spend. So far this year, since January, or sorry. Within the last year, since January 24th, 2022, until January 15th, 2023, and I think they still sent more money.
They just sent more money.
Yeah, they just sent more money. So in that year, and then there's obviously more going out now. The U.S. has sent $76.8 billion to Ukraine, $3.9 billion for humanitarian. That's food assistance, healthcare, refugee support. $26.4 billion on financial. So that's to support their economic system and loans and financial systems.
Oh, yeah, we couldn't use that. Definitely not. No.
And then we sent $46.6 billion for total military aid. That military aid is broken down this way. $18.3 billion for security assistance, training, equipment, weapons, logistics support, and other assistance provided through Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative. $23.5 billion on weapons and equipment for Defense Department. And then the last one is grants and loans for weapons and equipment. So more fucking that $4.7 billion for more weapons and equipment. Pretty substantial.
Yeah. I think the most recent one was to like fund their pensions or something.
So this is kind of a breakdown. So I guess I don't know what the fuck these places are, but
do you need my help?
Yeah, read this. That's the breakdown of like what countries have spent what for. That's just for military aid. That's not for other assistance, but for military aid.
Okay, so is this in millions? In billions. Okay.
Billions.
Billions of US dollars. So the US is 46.56.
Yep.
Great Britain is 5.1. Poland, I believe, is 2.5. Deutschland 2.4. Canada 1.3. Netherlands 0.9. Italy 0.67 or 69. France 0.69. Norway 0.62. Denmark 0.59.
So we are overseas from all those places. Those places all have a lot more stock in the game because they're so close.
Yeah, besides Canada.
Oh, sure. Sorry. Yep. Besides Canada. And so, why are we leading by that much? How much did you say Canada put forth?
Canada, 1.3.
Okay, and we're at 46.6.
Yeah, this graph is honestly ridiculous because the next highest is Great Britain at 5.1. So we are almost 10 times more than them.
You can't tell me we're not indicted somehow to Ukraine. Like,
we gotta be connected somehow.
Our higher ups are somehow connected to Ukraine. Otherwise, there's no reason in the world we would send $76.6 billion, and they're still sending more. That was just of January this year.
Yeah, because February, I believe they sent funds to help their pensions. Because that was a big thing of like, okay, why not help the U.S. citizens' pensions?
Yeah. Yep, crazy.
Oh, shoot. Something else happened this week about, the Supreme Court might rule Kamala Harris, Mike Pence, I think Biden, for certifying the election without looking into the voter fraud. Have you seen anything about that?
Not this week, but I did see with the Twitter files that came out that it was proven that Twitter and social media censored Republican parties while promoting Democratic Party. And so that alone, they stated, was a fraudulent act which made the 2020 elections fraudulent and not real. So, like, if you guys follow the Twitter files at all, and all the things coming out since Elon Musk took over, it's actually been stated that the 2020 election was fraudulent based on censorship alone. But that, for some reason, has all been swept under the rug as well.
Yeah, no, this was something different.
Okay.
Because it was about how they shouldn't have even certified the election without looking into the voter fraud claims.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So there was like, because I believe Mike Pence, Kamala Harris, Biden, they all certified approved the certification of the election.
Sure.
Without looking further into the voter fraud claims,
Sure.
which is against something.
Probably the Constitution.
Yeah, that would make sense. But the last article I'm seeing, it says they're tabling it for now.
Yeah, that would make sense. They table everything.
Yeah, but it was if the Supreme Court ruled in favor of that they shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Then it would have been the same result. The 2020 election would have been fraudulent, and they would have actually put Trump into office. They would kick Biden and Harris out if the Supreme Court goes that way.
Sure.
But I can't find anything on it now, probably because it's some kind of pro-Republican thing, and Google only gives me Democratic things. So.
That makes sense. Yeah, you could probably actually DuckDuckGo, I think it's called.
I was gonna say, if I had my phone, I'd pull up my Twitter. My Twitter tells me everything.
DuckDuckGo, so you can search it here. That's supposed to be like a non-biased search engine, DuckDuckGo. Mm-hmm. I use it sometime, and you actually do get massively different results than Google when you search shit.
On election certification.
Mm-hmm.
Certification. Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised. Do we have more Republican Supreme Court officials still, or no?
It was the House or Supreme Court. I don't remember offhand. One of the two.
Well, no, the Supreme Court is like the 7 justices.
Oh.
Justice. And if one of the justices, whatever, retire, during the election, then the president gets to put in the new official.
I think so, yeah.
Because Trump, I think, put in 4. So
Smart.
I think 3 or 4 are of his.
And guys, I'm by no means saying pro-Republican, because they're just as corrupt as, well, they are probably similar levels of corrupt as the Democrats. I'm just trying to pick the lesser of the evils. This kind of stuff was not happening when we had Republicans in office. There was bad tweets, mean tweets from Trump. I understand that. Some people got offended by shit. I understand that. But we weren't squandering our money. We didn't have massive inflation, and we didn't have banks collapsing. But we have all that now. We have record gas prices. We have record food prices. Our CPI is up higher than it's been in a very long time. So, and housing prices are up through the roof. which none of that was happening when Republican was in office.
So, let's see. Supreme Court on Thursday sought additional briefings in a major election case from North Carolina, signaling it could sidestep a ruling on broad theory that could upend election law nationwide. So, the North Carolina Supreme Court was very Democratic before. Or was Democratic ran, but since recently, it is now Republican control. So now they're looking at revisiting some earlier rulings.
Okay.
And I think one of them is about, let's see here. The state court last month said it would reconsider whether the Republican-drawn districts were unlawful, along with another case concerning voter ID. Okay. So yeah, they're going to look into some of those.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, guys, I mean, this is like our show is for like education, personal development, business development, things like that. And the reason that we like bring this shit up and talk about shit like this all the time is the amount that like this affects business and personal development. Not necessarily personal development, but it really affects like business and personal growth, and the fact that like when our earning potential goes down but everything else goes up and it costs more to live, it's harder for us to get ahead. It's harder for us to get better. Same thing with our businesses. When everything else costs so much to do in our business, it makes it so businesses fail that much easier. And we're trying to like educate and help people on being better themselves, growing in their personal lives, growing in their business lives, and how to like be great people. And this shit is a detriment to that. So like the government running as a business and not as like a social justice system, but like as a business and running like economically well is really good for each individual who are trying to live to their highest potential.
And people that say that the country shouldn't run as a business, think about this. Companies like to make their employees happy. Companies have to be non-biased. Companies have to follow laws.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Otherwise,
Right.
you get fired.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the people that say we should care about feelings and emotions more, like,
No.
it doesn't do well in business. Look at that. Look what's happening around right now.
We have, like, the Equality Act and shit like that, so that you have to hire and promote based on skill set, not based on sex, religion, color, ethnicity, disability, anything like that.
Right.
But for some reason, like, that goes out the window in running the country. And it's actually been going out the window for a lot of businesses, too, and businesses have admitted to hiring based on sex and color.
Specifically making sure their workforce is diverse, so they'll purposely hire a colored person.
Yeah. When it's just like, dude, oh my God, when we were in Mastermind, remember that shit?
Oh,
man, I couldn't believe that. But anyways, that stuff goes like, that stuff isn't equitable. That stuff's not fair. That stuff's not actually a true democracy.
No.
It's the opposite. It's communism. Like, look up the difference. And all this stuff leads us more to communist type of ruling instead of democracy, which we all should be trying to be ran like a democracy. That was the intent.
And another thing to keep in mind, going off that little rant, what we learned in Auschwitz is the people that they put in Auschwitz, besides obviously the Jews, were the prostitutes.
Yeah.
The people that didn't have jobs.
Yep.
The people that did not
Push back.
didn't contribute to society. Those are the people that went to Auschwitz and died.
Yes.
Because a country can't run on lazy ass people. So everyone that is working hard now, they're going to be the ones still stuck, working hard, dealing with the bullshit that all these people that don't want to work are going to put us in.
Yep.
So that's a little life lesson.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's current events.
There's definitely a lot more out there. These were just some of the ones that we saw and thought were kind of interesting.
Yeah. I really hope the bank collapses chill out. I hope that all kind of simmers down.
Yeah.
We'll kind of see how it goes. I really hope that we can get this country back on track and we can start progressing in a good way to really fuel business development and personal development. So I think it would be phenomenal to see more self-employed people.
Yeah.
See more entrepreneurs, more businesses ran well. See more businesses in general function and run well.
And this is you kind of went off of it too. This is why we vote Republican. Republicans believe in lower taxes. So that helps everyone. I know so many people that are struggling right now because their property taxes are high. Income tax is pretty.
Income tax is always high.
Yeah.
You got your Social Security and Medicare that just get squandered and don't actually get utilized for Medicare and Social Security.
100%. Housing interest rates and all that stuff. So, we need taxes to be lowered so then these businesses can thrive. And it'd be easier to pay employees more money if businesses weren't getting taxed 50% every single year.
Yeah. And I've said this before on the podcast multiple times. Right now we have a two-party system, and we are living with a two-party system. If there's a way to get rid of the two-party system, add some more parties, like libertarian, I would be voting libertarian in a second. However, there's not enough of a movement, and there's not enough of a knowledge on what libertarianism is and the benefits of that. And so at the last presidential race, I think only 0.9% of people voted libertarian. And so it's essentially wasted votes until we can show the fraud in the current two-party system and show the corruption and actually start putting people in prison for it and having them have consequences and then start educating people on the different types of systems.
Yeah.
We're stuck in the environment we're stuck in, and we got to try to make the most of it and figure it out.
All of you people that voted for Biden because you hated Trump, think how much of an impact you could have made if you would have voted for a libertarian instead.
Oh my God.
Incredible.
Yeah, we'd be beautiful. Anyways, guys, that's today's topic. Check us out on the YouTubes. Add us on social media. Leave us a review wherever you watch us, and I hope you enjoyed. Please share the show. I hope you got some info out of this one.
Yeah. See you.
All right, peace.